Good day to all my gardeners and growers. I'm doing my best, and today we're going to talk about how to make compost tea. I make compost tea every week, so I was thinking about it when I was making my compost tea this morning as I was adding stuff to it. Why don't I make a video? Here's the video on how to make compost tea. So I brought you guys right into my grow room. It's actually a little loud in here because I have a fan that's running the exhaust from my grow room right now. But I figure if I set it up here so that I could actually show you how I do it, that you're gonna know how it's done. So let's just go ahead and get to it. Firstly, I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about what compost tea is. So what is compost tea? Compost tea pretty much is all of the microbes along with the food that they're going to need to eat and give to the soil so that the actual plant can uptake it. So when I make the compost tea, I'm going to add everything that I need to give to my plants, because healthy soil makes healthy plants. We don't always know exactly what a plant is going to need, what a plant is going to do, but inside the universe of the soil, all of the microbes, the bacteria, the fungi, they're going to communicate to the plant. The plant's going to communicate to the microbes, and together they're going to make it work. What we have to do is supply it in abundance. So today I want to share with you everything that I use in our compost tea here, and hopefully it's going to allow you to know a little bit more about how you can make yours. Firstly, we want to start out with aerated water. That's the reason why if you look behind me, you'll see the bucket that's already filled with water that's already aerating. If I pull it out right here, you can see the air stone. This is an air stone that you can get from, I got mine from a grocery store, but you can get yours from, if you go to a place that sells stuff for fish ponds or a pet store that sells stuff for fish, you can find air stones. You put the air stone in your water and you let that do what it does for 24 hours. Now, if I didn't have a chlorine filter, that step would be very, very important. Some of you guys out there don't have a chlorine filter yet, and that's going to be important. But until you do, you still can make your compost tea. What you're going to need to do, though, is go ahead and brew this for 24 hours, and all of that chlorine is going to get out of the water. After 24 hours of brewing your water, you're ready to add your nutrients. Some of the nutrients that we add here are, firstly, the silica. The silica is important to add first because the silica is a very basic nutrient, and even though it's very important for your plants in order to build very healthy, strong cell walls, it's going to make your plants more healthy and strong and protected against pests. You want to put this silica in your water early on. So you put that in there and then you let the water brew for about an hour. So I've already added mine. You want to put about 2 tablespoons of good silica gel in there, silica blast. Once you add that, you let that sit for about an hour. I've also added already some of the fulvic acid. I'm going to add 1.5 to 2 of these, which is 2 tablespoons, into my water. I want to make sure that I have enough fulvic acid because this 5-gallon bucket is actually going to make a 10-gallon. And I'm going to mix it with water when I'm pouring it into my plants. And so I want to make sure that there's enough fulvic acid to go around. Then we want to add the CalMag. The CalMag is important to add as well. I'm going to add the same amount of CalMag as I added fulvic acid. And that's going to just give the plants all of the calcium and magnesium that they need. Obviously, plants are going to need more than just NPK. And CalMag is one of the first things that plants run out of. They uptake it all the time, especially right now in the hot summer months or spring. As we go into summer, it's going to get hotter, and the plants are going to use a lot more of those nutrients than we can supply. So we're always going to need to supply the CalMag. Then we're going to add the amino acids. So let's go ahead and do it now. I haven't really added the molasses and the amino acids. So I'm going to add some molasses that allows the bacteria to eat. You may not see this on camera, but I'm adding the molasses to a cup. I'm about to fill about 1/2 cup full of molasses. Now when you add the molasses, you're going to see a pretty cool natural reaction over time. You can see the molasses here. I'm going to add it right now. I want to add the amino acids. The amino acids are important because they are the building blocks of protein for us humans and animals as well. But what the plant uses it for is for making their compounds. And also the importance in the amino acids is that it's going to hold on to the calcium. And since it's going to hold on to the calcium long enough for the plants to get it, it's going to keep from having calcium deficiencies. So you always want to add your amino acids, because it's going to help with the uptake of calcium, which in turn helps prevent pests, makes your plants stronger, and it actually adds to your bricks. It's going to make the bricks higher on your plants. And then we're going to add our solid ingredients. Here is my compost tea mix. I've already mixed it, so you don't have to worry about spending time mixing it up and doing all that stuff later. I mean, every time you make compost tea. I have a burlap sack. I don't know where it is right now. You take your burlap sack here and you're going to fill it with your compost tea mix. So you're just going to take your compost tea mix here, about 2 cups, put it in the burlap sack. So this is the process. So you're just going to take your compost tea bag in your burlap sack, and just let that sit, and that's going to get down in there, and that's full of all of the microbes and even more minerals and nutrients that your plants are going to need, and that's going to add to the compost tea. All that we have to do now is wait for 24 to 48 hours. We don't want to wait over 48 hours, and the reason why is because the microbe cycle that we're creating right now is starting out with bacteria, then it's going to get to fungi, and then we're going to get nematodes. But after about 48 hours, the lifespan of those beneficial microbes are going to start wearing out, and it's going to start turning into a little bit more of a parasitic tea, because the microbes are going to get eaten by bigger microbes that are going to be a little bit more harmful. Now, some people will tell you that this process is still fine and you can still use your compost tea after 48 hours, but the viability of it for your plants is going to pretty much be at its best, at its freshest, within 24 to 48 hours. With all of the sugars and the bacteria that have eaten all of the molasses and the complex sugars that are in there, you want to get that into your plants pretty much at its freshest. And so it's at its peak within 24 to 48 hours, and you'll know based on your own senses. When you come in and you can smell it, it's starting to smell sweet and earthy, that's when you know your compost tea is pretty much ready to go. Go ahead and pour it on your plants. I'm going to dilute mine to about a 1-to-2 ratio on fresh water, so I'm going to turn my compost tea into 10 gallons because I actually have a lot of plants that we're growing outside, and I want to make sure that they all get fed. So I actually make sure that mine is very, very rich, but I could still just as much pour this water on my plants and just let it do what it does. But the thing is, I know that a lot of people out there do not have access to the best fertilizers. This is the cheapest way to actually take care of your plants, if you ask me. Sure, I know I have a lot of supplies, but once I have those supplies, I don't go out and I don't have to buy any more. This big bottle of cow mags lasts me for months. I've never bought another one. This is the first one I've bought, and I bought this one last year. So you can use your cow mag for a long time. A lot of these things that I'm buying, they may cost like 30 to 40 bucks. When I first started out, I wasn't buying them every day, and I didn't buy them all at once. I would buy them every 2 weeks. I would buy them, you know, at a small bottle first, and then I would get the bigger bottle later when I had a chance. But overall, you can start out your compost tea with just the molasses and just the earthworm castings. So you don't have to worry about buying everything, but if I were you, I would, because the main thing about having healthy compost tea is making sure that it is complex. So the main thing that I want to share with you guys is how to make compost tea. The process is you get your 5-gallon bucket, you fill it with water, you get your air stone, you make sure your water is aerated for 24 hours, then you add your ingredients that are liquid. I add my silica, I add my fulvic acid, I add my CalMag, then I add my molasses and my amino acids. But if you want to keep it simple, you can just add just your CalMag and just your molasses. After letting that brew out to where it's starting to dilute the molasses and it's not as thick anymore, now you can go ahead and add your burlap sack that's filled with all of your, I guess, dry nutrients, and those dry nutrients are going to sit in there with your liquid nutrients for another 24 to 48 hours. Now you're ready to pour it on your plants. Well, now that you know how to make great compost tea at home, start making your own. You don't have to go out here and buy fertilizers that are made at, big companies and big warehouses that say that they're for this and that. You don't have to do all of that. You can make your own compost tea at home, and you can learn how to feed your plants without spending a whole lot of money. Yeah, I bought these supplies, but at the same time, I'm not buying all of these supplies all the time. I'm definitely saving a lot of money by having these ingredients in bulk, having them at home, not having to replenish every time that I need to make them, and I can feed my plants every week. And I can grow plants that are very nutritious for me. They're beautiful while they're growing. They live a great life cycle, and my garden looks great. So overall, I think that if you were to start using compost tea instead of using fertilizer from your stores, you'll actually benefit in so many more ways. You'll save money, you'll have healthier plants, you'll enjoy the nature, and you'll be feeding the soil. So learning a little bit more about how to make compost tea, if you ask me, is the best way to learn about gardening. Thank you for watching our video on how to make compost tea. I hope this video helps you guys make compost tea at home and get started right away, feeding your plants a great regimen of nutritious, high brix compost tea. Overall, I've enjoyed the process of learning how to do it myself, and that's the reason why sharing it with you guys is one of the things that means a lot to me. So I really hope you guys are experiencing great turnouts with your compost tea and in your garden, and I want to know a little bit more about what results you're getting from it. Well, that's all from me today. I hope you guys enjoy your day, and happy gardening.